Kizuki is the Japanese word for an aha moment of insight or realization. It could be something as small as a freckle you notice on your skin that wasn't visible to you before, or a downright life-changing epiphany. But I like to point out how if you see something, you can't unsee it. So much in the same way, once you come to Kizuki, a realization of something, you can't unrealize it. And of course, journaling is the practice of writing down our thoughts and emotions, often for therapeutic purposes. It's a way of accessing what's on the inside that's not visible and getting to know yourself, getting to know your mental terrain of thoughts and ideas and imaginations, as well as a lot of the feelings and emotions that could weigh us down or make us feel really light and happy. So Kizuki Journaling is a method that I devised in January 2021 under the height of the pandemic. And it's a method that incorporates 3 simple steps. Much like many other types of journaling, the first step is about output. It's about putting down our thoughts, ideas, and feelings on paper, which then makes it visible to yourself. Then that instigates the second step, which is to reflect, to get to know yourself, like, oh, these are the things that I was actually thinking or feeling, or oh, perhaps this is why I felt so weighed down. Now, what Kizuki Journaling does that's very unique is that it incorporates a guided meditation amidst these prompts. And the guided meditation asks you to intentionally take a step away from your habituated, accustomed, familiar thoughts and thought patterns. It creates a sort of spaciousness, a way to float away from the usual way of thinking and seeing. Then Kizuki Journaling incorporates a pivotal third prompt, which is designed to suggest a new perspective, a new way of seeing things that often leads to actionable behavioral change. Each session is very unique and different, but I can say that so many of the participants react with an overwhelming almost sense of joy. And I believe it comes from deeply connecting to oneself. Now, really the most incredible thing about Kizuki Journaling is that I never provide the answers. What we do instead is that we create a safe space for each participant to meet themselves in quietude. And I feel like it's almost divine, the way that we create the space to allow what's on the inside to come up to the surface and onto paper in a way that's visible and then reflected back at you. So many of these things are such subtle, tiny little things that often go unnoticed, hence the word Kizuki, to come to realization of it. So I really wish that you would have a look at the testimonials page if you like, but so many of the participant testimonials are about the joys of honesty and integrity, like, oh my God, I didn't know that I was thinking these things before, or I knew that I had these patterns of emotions and feelings that would always come up in similar situations. I just didn't know how to deal with them. But now that I understand the belief structures and even some of the upbringing and patterning in my own life, I can now take this power of awareness to bring forth change in my life. And a lot of them have testimonies of how it's not only impacted their life and their behavioral change, but how that has created a ripple effect of it influencing their children and their family and their friends. And I tell you, nothing brings me so much joy. And there's just such a sense of co-resonance, because I do this because I did these things with myself and my own thought patterns as they arise in meditation and in journaling. And in coming to greater awareness to Kizuki, I've been able to take this opportunity to change my own life for the better, because I get to choose from that place. So ultimately, it's very self-empowering. And I would also say that there is almost an unspoken but very important element of self-acceptance that's permeating throughout the program, because once it bubbles up and once you put it down on paper, we never encourage you to ignore it or to set it aside. We always ask you to look at it and then be open to it. And that is an open heart of acceptance. So I believe this acceptance is exactly what leads you to greater self-empowerment. Ooh, thanks for asking me that question. I've spent many years in more kind of traditional journaling methods that are out there. And generally speaking, they have to do with output, right? So you're always coming to honesty with what's on the inside, and you're encouraged to put them on paper. So, for me, the first however many years was about putting a lot of complaints, grudges, resentment, and a lot of like dark feelings and thoughts out on paper, which is all good. It serves a purpose because it helps you to alleviate stress, hence its therapeutic effect. However, if you ever catch yourself, like I did, writing similar complaints and similar patterns down again and again and again, one must ask, how can I begin to change these patterns to break the same conditioning that I'm feeling and thinking over and over again? So one thing that Kizuki Journaling makes possible is a kind of gentle probing of the underlying belief structures that are the whys that support the thoughts and thought patterns and feeling patterns that you see played out in your life. So it's a layer of another questioning to get to know not just what you are and what you're feeling, but why you're feeling those things. What are the thoughts and beliefs that support the things that are surfacing as your life experience? Now, granted, some other journaling methods do help you to probe around and explore these belief structures, but I find that a lot of times they don't necessarily connect to, well, how do I live that in my life? So Kizuki Journaling is very unique in the sense that the third and final prompt is often designed to make you access your own inner wisdom in an applicable way, where it kind of gets in your face and it says, well, now that you've come to Kizuki, greater awareness about these patterns, how then do you wish to change your daily life? Or how then can you act this out in your actual life so that it creates change, positive change for you? Another thing about traditional journaling methods is that sometimes it asks you to give yourself space in the form of time. So I don't know if you've ever had this, but I've had certain journaling methods where it asks me to, well, now that you've written that out, why don't you set it aside and sleep on it for a few nights or maybe a week or two and come back to it again and see how much you've changed or not changed. With Kizuki Journaling, we don't do that. We don't need to do that because within the program, we've incorporated a guided meditation that asks you to deliberately step aside from your familiarized thought patterns. So we don't really need to waste any time or days to come back and actually engage with a whole fresh perspective that helps you to see things in a light that you hadn't seen before. That the answer is within you. It's always there. Even when you feel dark, murky, lost, stuck. Even amidst life's challenges, there's never a point when you're so lost that you can't access your own inner wisdom. And all it takes is your willingness to be quiet, to give yourself that space and spaciousness, to quiet down just enough to listen, to allow your inner wisdom to surface. You know, there's so many times in life where we kind of bombard ourselves with ideas and information from external sources, looking for what's right versus what's wrong, and how can I perform and how can I achieve. But really, every time I've sought after things like that, every time I've sought an answer in a teacher or in a method, the best ones have always been the ones that have guided me back home to myself and my inner wisdom. And it is my hope that people who find the Kizuki Journaling method will use it as a powerful tool in 3 simple steps to just go within and to touch base with that divinity, that piece of wisdom that's within you.